Hello. I'd like to read to you today if that's alright with you. Before I start reading, you'll notice my hat today is a Washington Nationals hat. It is a wonderful thing to live where I live because we have the Baltimore Orioles and the Washington Nationals very close. So whenever baseball season is going on, lots of choices. Um, there's not a lot of baseball going on, none right now. In fact, going on right now. But last night, Masson, the local sports network, was showing the replays of the Nationals winning the World Series. So I thought I would celebrate again today. Anyway, we'll come back to baseball in a little bit, but before we do that, I want to share some more poems with you today. These are by someone named Shel Silverstein, who has lots of collections of poems, and the collection I'm going to read from today is called A Light in the Attic. And this is a very thick book. I'm only going to pick a few poems to read today. I'm going to start with this one called The Toad and the Kangaroo. Said the toad to the kangaroo, "I can hop and so can you. So if we marry, we'll have a child who can jump a mountain or hop a mile. And we can call it a toadaroo," said the hopeful toad to the kangaroo. Said the kangaroo, "My dear, what a perfectly lovely idea. I would most gladly marry you, but as for having a toadaroo, I'd rather we called it a kangarood," said the kangaroo to the frowning toad. So they argued but couldn't agree on rangatoo or kangaree, and finally the toad said, "I don't give a dang if it's rotacode or todakang. I really don't feel like marrying you." "Fine with me," said the kangaroo. And the toad had no more to say, and the kangaroo just hopped away. And they never married or had a child that could jump a mountain or hop a mile. What a loss, what a shame, just 'cause they couldn't agree on a name. Here's another one about something not quite working out the way someone wanted it to. This one's called Almost Perfect. There's no picture for this one. Almost perfect, but not quite. Those were the words of Mary Hume at her 7th birthday party, looking round the ribboned room. This tablecloth is pink, not white. Almost perfect, but not quite. Almost perfect, but not quite. Those were the words of grown-up Mary, talking about her handsome beau, the one she wasn't gonna marry. Squeezes me a bit too tight. Almost perfect, but not quite. Almost perfect, but not quite. Those were the words of old Miss Hume, teaching in the 7th grade, grading papers in the gloom, late at night up in her room. They never crossed their T's just right. Almost perfect, but not quite. 98 the day she died, complainin' 'bout the spotless floor. People shook their heads and sighed. Guess that she'll like heaven more. Up went her soul on feathered wings, out the door, up out of sight. Another voice from heaven came. Almost perfect, but not quite. Here's a silly one. This one's called Fancy Dive. The fanciest dive that ever was dove was done by Melissa of Coconut Grove. She bounced on the board and flew into the air with a twist of her head and a twirl of her hair. She did 34 jackknives, backflipped and spun, quadruple gainered and reached for the sun, and then somersaulted 9 times and a quarter, and looked down and saw that the pool had no water. And one more for today from Mr. Silverstein. The Little Boy and the Old Man. Said the little boy, "Sometimes I drop my spoon." Said the little old man, "I do that too." The little boy whispered, "I wet my pants." "I do that too," laughed the little old man. Said the little boy, "I often cry." The old man nodded. "So do I." "But worst of all," said the boy, "it seems grown-ups don't pay attention to me." And he felt the warmth of a wrinkled old hand. "I know what you mean," said the little old man. I like to think about that one sometimes. That's one I think about pretty hard. We may come back to Mr. Silverstein in the future. For now, I want to get back to baseball. I said I would do that. So today's April 15th. And April 15th is a very important day. I would argue, maybe the most important day in American sports history. Because this is the day that Jackie Robinson of the Brooklyn Dodgers first appeared in a baseball game. Now, why is that important? Some of you already know that, but we'll talk more about that at the end of this story about Jackie Robinson. This story is called We Need You Now. Jackie watched as thousands of people walked to their seats in the great baseball stadium. Many of the seats were already filled. The sound of music came across the field. Another ball player stood next to Jackie. He slapped his hand into his glove. "You've got to win for us today, Jackie," he said. Jackie looked at his friend Pee-wee in surprise. He wanted to ask Pee-wee what he meant. But the manager of the Brooklyn Dodgers began to talk. Jackie and Pee-wee and the other players gathered around him. "I don't have to tell you men what this game means to us," the manager said. "If we beat the Phillies today, we're sure of at least a tie for the championship. If we lose, there's a good chance that the season will be over for us." This was the last game of the season. The Dodgers were tied for first place with the New York Giants. If both the Giants and the Dodgers won their games today, or if they both lost, the season would end in a tie. But if one of them won while the other team lost, the season would be over for the team that lost. In the grandstands around the field, people began to shout. Their shouting grew to a roar. Jackie, looking across the field, saw the umpire waving. "Play ball!" the umpire shouted. "All right, men, here we go," the manager said. The game began. Jackie had a chance to bat in the first inning, but he did not get a hit. He came back to the dugout where the other Dodgers were. "What did you mean when you said I had to win this game?" he asked Pee-wee. "I mean you're our best player, Jackie," said Pee-wee. "You've got to lead us." Jackie smiled. "I'll do my best," he said. Jackie listened to the crowd. Many people were cheering for the Phillies. The game was in Philadelphia, and the people wanted their own team to win. The Phillies played well at the beginning. Soon, they were leading the Dodgers by 4 runs. The score was 6-2. Jackie was worried. It looked as if the Dodgers might lose. The scoreboard showed that the Giants were winning their game. In the 5th inning, Jackie had a turn at bat. He picked up his favorite bat. He gripped it tightly. His hands were sweating because he was nervous. He stood at the plate and looked down to first base. One of his teammates stood on first. The Phillies pitcher threw the ball. Jackie swung and felt the bat hit the ball. The ball sailed far out between the Phillies' left fielder and center fielder. Jackie ran all the way to third base with a triple. The Dodger player who had been on first base scored easily. Before the inning was over, the Dodgers had scored 3 runs. Now the Phillies were ahead by only 1. But when the Phillies came to bat, they got 2 more runs. The score was now 8-5 in favor of the Phillies. Just then, a roar swept through the crowd. Jackie glanced up at the scoreboard. The Giants had won. Now the Dodgers had to win, or the season would be over for them. The Dodgers couldn't score in the next 2 innings, but in the 8th inning, they scored 3 runs. The score was tied. Now they had a chance to win the game. The score was still tied at the end of 9 innings. This would be an extra inning ball game. It was the 12th inning. The Phillies had runners on first, second, and third with 2 out. If the Phillies scored a run, they would win the game. Jackie stood tensely at his position between first and second base. He watched as the Dodger pitcher threw the ball. The batter swung hard. The ball cracked against the bat and shot toward second base. Everyone in the stadium jumped to his feet. Jackie ran desperately to his right. He knew he had to catch this ball or the Dodgers would lose the game. Just when the ball was about to go by him, he leaped into the air. His left hand, with the glove on it, was stretched out as far as it could stretch. While Jackie was still in the air, he felt the ball smack into his glove. He fell to the ground. The whole weight of his body crashed down on his right arm. His elbow smashed into his stomach. He lay motionless on the ground, but the ball was still in his glove. The inning was over. The Phillies had not been able to score. Jackie's teammates came running over and helped him off the field. Jackie lay down in the Dodgers dugout. His right arm, his stomach, and his right side hurt him terribly. He could hardly breathe. The Dodgers could not score. When the Phillies came to bat again, the Dodgers ran out on the field, all except Jackie. Jackie lay on the bench, his face twisted with pain. Pee-wee came back into the dugout. "Let's go, Jackie," Pee-wee said. "We need you now. We've never needed you more. You'll be all right as soon as you get out on the field." Jackie said, "I'm not sure I can help the team, Pee-wee." "Remember what I told you?" Pee-wee said. "If you can't help, no one can." Jackie struggled to his feet. Pee-wee helped him. Jackie put on his glove and went back on the field. The Phillies could not score a run in the 13th inning. Then the Dodgers came to bat in the 14th inning. The first men made 2 outs. Now it was Jackie's turn to bat. Jackie carefully rubbed dust on his hands so he could hold the bat better. He felt tired. His side and his right arm still hurt. He could see the numbers on the scoreboard. They showed that the score was still Phillies 8, Dodgers 8. The people in the stadium were silent as Jackie stepped to the plate. Everyone watched him. Jackie felt all alone. He watched the Phillies pitcher. The pitcher raised his arms and threw. With all his muscles tense, Jackie watched the ball. He swung with all his strength as the ball crossed the plate. The bat met the ball with a loud crack. Out the ball sailed, out toward left field and over the left field wall for a home run. Jackie ran around the bases while the great crowd roared. Jackie's teammates shook his hands as he crossed the plate. The score was 9-8. The Dodgers were ahead at last. Jackie ran to the dugout. Pee-wee met him there. Both men were laughing. Pee-wee threw his arm around Jackie's shoulders. "You did it, Jackie," Pee-wee shouted. "Now we'll win." And so here's a little bit more about Jackie Robinson. Jackie in this story was Jackie Robinson, a great baseball player. His friend Pee-wee was shortstop Pee-wee Reese, another famous Dodger. Jackie's home run in the last game of the 1951 baseball season won the game for the Dodgers. And even though the Dodgers lost the championship playoff to the New York Giants, Jackie Robinson's home run is remembered as a great moment in baseball history. Before he came to the Brooklyn Dodgers, Jackie had become famous in college for his skill at baseball, basketball, football, and track. When he joined the Brooklyn Dodgers in 1947, he became the first African American to play in the major leagues. He spent 10 years with the Dodgers and helped them win National League championships in all but 4 of those years. In 1962, Jackie Robinson was elected to the National Baseball Hall of Fame, an honor given only to the greatest baseball players. And there he is. And today, April 15th, in 1947, was Jackie Robinson's first game in the major leagues. He was the first African American to play in the major leagues, as we said here. And every year, on Jackie Robinson Day, professional baseball players all wear the same number. And that number is 42, the number that Jackie Robinson wore when he played with the Brooklyn Dodgers. And that is all I have for you today. I will see you next time.